Hi, I'm Wayward, and this is Command & Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath. Looking at a 1 versus 1 today between Shocktrepet as our red Nod, plain old Nod. Looks like we've gotten off to a bit of a start here. I've had to restart this video several times. Anyway, at the bottom right, as the teal Scrin, is Haruspex. The map, of course, is Tiberium Rift. Do like to see this one, but the map has gotten off to a relatively normal start. We did see at the very beginning a brief scout attempt, and we have another buzzer swarm coming in to get another scout off here by Haruspex, getting a complete scout. We actually have a lot of militant squads out for Shocktrepet, and he's moving his MCV down to that southern field. I think it's possible that because the vision lasts a little while, that Haruspex actually did see this. You see he had to turn off his refinery. Because of this move, the power loss by moving the MCV necessitated that, of course. Otherwise, fairly standard build. We do have a buggy out real quick here for our Nod player. Over on Haruspex's side, you see he's also already moved his drone platform almost in position right now. So the players are being really aggressive economically, and also in terms of combat potential. You see those two Seeker tanks out there in plenty of time to deal with this buggy. Taking a quick look. That is interesting. So Haruspex has gone out to harvest some of the blue Tiberium in the middle of the field. That harvester is getting dangerously low, but with the Seekers defending it, I think it's going to be fine. We do have some scout bikes out here for Shocktrepet. 3 at this point that I can see. And we do have those power plants coming up. And, of course, a refinery, which is, you know, why you're expanding to get that extra economy. Haruspex looks like he's a little slower on that front, does not have a refinery up here. As I say that, it comes out. He's going to have to be careful from this harass. Looks like he's already pulled that harvester back, either anticipating it or has already seen what's going on. Might not be enough to say... Oh, I was going to say, might not be enough to save the harvester, but then those bikes turned around and they saw what was going on. The harvester is, at this point, going to be okay. We've about hit saturation, it looks like, on this field. I think maybe a couple more could come out. We do have a harvester trade-off. It looks like the one that came down here is being replaced by a new one. Over on this side of the map, we actually have some harass from these Seekers. Doesn't look like too much happened. We do, of course, have a laser turret out here. Shocktrepet is being really aggressive with his turrets and expansion. You see he's got a really big base going on over here. No tech or anything at this point, just getting those bikes repaired. Does not have nearly as good harvester saturation over here as his opponent does. Although there are a couple harvesters on the second field, of course. Just now getting his operations center out, going for tier 2 is Shocktrepet. I think he's in a really good position right now. He's actively mining off of 2 fields. Has some defenses over here and units to defend this one from run-bys. Which, of course, if we look, is exactly what Haruspex is doing. This is a significant force of Seekers, and we do just now have a couple of Scorpions coming out. Looks like that's enough to get Haruspex to back away. Haruspex has taken the opportunity over the last couple of seconds to get out a nerve center and actually a foundry. So we've got that second construction queue going on as well. This will help Haruspex keep up economically. A lot of units out on the field continuing to harvest that blue Tiberium from the center and able to hold onto it really well at this point. So Haruspex is not resting on his laurels. He is out and about trying to maintain map control. And we can see why. We have 3 gravity stabilizers out with, looks like it's all Storm Riders at this point, but that's a lot of air units and a lot of money being pumped into air combat. And we do have attenuated force fields. This was a mistake by Haruspex not getting that Raider buggy. If this thing can pull up and get a scout off, that's going to give Shocktrepet a chance to react to this, which is going to, he's going to see it. There's nothing that can stop him at this point, unless we have a miracle turret come up. Nope. He is now scouting the air units, and they're going to kill the buggy, but too late, I think. This is going to give Shocktrepet a chance to tech out. He also has an additional build queue, it looks like. So Shocktrepet is... Where did his MCV go? He's already moved to his third. Actually has some units up. We have a Obelisk of Light. Now, right now, these Storm Riders are completely uncontested, and we do have army coming to back it up. So Shocktrepet is in a little bit of danger. We do have a SAM site coming up, and turrets are very strong in this game, so that's going to put a little bit of a damper on the Storm Riders' day. But this is still a large force here. Haruspex choosing, I think, to be a little more circumspect, pulling back, doesn't want to throw his entire army away. Definitely did give Shocktrepet some pause, although Shocktrepet now is very happily mining off of this third base, and he is, I think, ahead of Haruspex, who is just now setting down at his third and getting out those. That's interesting. It was really quick to have just come out, but we do see the advantages of that double production right there, with two more harvesters coming out right here. I am missing some combat in the middle of the map. We have a Seeker about to go down to this Nod infantry. Looks like we have more Storm Riders and Seekers being used for harassment. The Storm Riders are getting the worst of it with those SAM sites, and there are a ton of buggies and Scorpion tanks over here. So Shocktrepet is really managing to defend this very well. He is reacting when and where he needs to keep those Storm Riders from becoming as useful as I think Haruspex would want them to be. Coming back, getting repaired. Let's take a quick look. I really expected this point Haruspex to go full air. Yeah, there we go. There's the technology assembler, and actually we have a stasis chamber, so it looks like he may be wanting to produce some advanced infantry. We'll have to see what comes of that, but it looks like Haruspex is going to commit more fully into this air, and I would expect him to get potentially some planetary assault carriers, devastator warships. We have the signal transmitter, so he may actually be going for the mothership, or whatever the big disk ship thing is called. This, however, is a pretty significant ground army from Shocktrepet. Interesting, this is 1.02. I have not seen any attempt to get tier 4. In fact, Shocktrepet is also going air with Venoms. No, I say no tier 4, but there it is. Of course, as soon as I say no tier 4, you see the Redeemer. Is the Redeemer... Let me see, there's the Tech Lab. Yeah, he must have sold off the Redeemer production as soon as he finished building it, because I don't see any sign of that. We also have the nuclear missile. There's the Temple of Nod right there, actually. So, super weapon being produced by Shocktrepet, and there's a lot of defenses here, so it's going to be a little hard to crack this. I'm very interested to see what's going on with these Venoms. Of course, they don't need an air pad. They can just be produced en masse, but they can only attack ground, I believe. Looks like they do have their laser capacitor upgrade. I am very interested to see what these things are going to be used to attack. But right now, Haruspex is literally on a timer. So these Storm Riders are going to take forever to kill the Redeemer, but it is out of position and being whittled down very slowly. We have just some scouting going on there. are the Devastator warships that I called for. And also the Warp Chasm is out, so we are going to see, of course, the Hexapod. And there's a Planetary Assault Carrier, so Haruspex definitely going really heavy hitting with his army at this point. It's going to take him a little while to get that up to speed, although we do have 4 PACs at this point, it looks like. Only 1 Devastator, which is a bit of a shame. It's my basically my favorite unit in the game, for better or worse. But yeah, PACs are out in force. We have a very, very strong Air Force, and there's not a ton, really a ton of anti-air out. PAC's a little out of position being attacked by those missile troopers. Oh, I guess the Venoms can attack air. So that does definitely make them more useful. There's that Ion Storm, but the PAC goes down. Redeemer getting a little lower. I did not know they could attack air. I'm kind of blown away right now. Hexapod coming in to join the fight. I do love seeing these big kind of epic battles. I feel like his POCs are a little, they're kind of being thrown away right now, which is weird. They were very out of position, it feels like. Hexapod, interestingly, not going for the Redeemer, just kind of dealing some AoE damage. Oh, but that is an enormous nod force, and that Hexapod needs to get out of there and or adjust, or it's going to be in some big trouble. Shock troopers being used, so we did see the effects of that stasis chamber, actually. But this is just an enormous force. The Redeemer does get taken out. The Hexapod is getting pretty low on health as well, but I think there's enough air DPS here that that ground army is getting cleaned up. We have a ton of PACs out again. The Venoms are surprisingly good at taking them out. That giant ball of... Look how many... Oh my god. That is a lot of Venoms right there. Poor Haruspex has had a bit of a hard time keeping his army alive. He does have... Oh my gosh, those Venoms are just insane. Keep an eye on them. Still a decent-sized little army over here for Shocktrepet, and getting very close to that nuclear missile. It's about halfway ready. So Haruspex, again, does need to be really careful and definitely prepare. Redeemer Engineering Facility coming out again to produce a second Redeemer. I imagine when it's done, it'll be sold off. Have a mastermind out for Haruspex, but it's just sitting there at the moment, not doing anything. A couple of Corruptors per usual to protect the Hexapod, and finally got the force fields up on the Planetary Assault Carriers. That's still a smaller army than you'd want. We do see a couple of Hexapod or tripods coming out, but so far their numbers are very low. Oh no! Oh no, the Harvester getting not quite murdered. No, there it goes. So, maintaining that harvesting on the blue Tiberium, so Haruspex has done a great job with that. I don't know what's going on down here. I must have missed something. That poor Hexapod just being completely obliterated. There's actually no anti-air over here, so these Reapers are Venoms rather, are going to have a bit of a heyday. Storm Column was... Oh, Plasma Missile Battery was a little too late, and now Haruspex has to devote some build time to producing power plants, which I don't think is what he wanted. I think this reaction with the PACs is far too little, far too late. The Venoms are long gone. Just a little bit of anti-air would be plenty to protect what's left of this base over here. Oh, that's what's going on. He has the Warp Sphere. I think that's the Overlord's Wrath going down. Looks like he was just using that to reseed the Tiberium, because he's really, really, really low on it at this point. You see a couple more Devastators. So right now, Haruspex has kind of a bit of an everything army. He's got some tier 3, he's got those PACs, and is the Redeemer out again? Oh, those Venoms attacking into the PACs would be a very bad situation at this point. Shocktrepet does have a large army, but he's in a bit of a pickle because it is kind of basically all tier 1 and tier 2. The Venoms are... oh, we do have the Redeemer out, and it's stealthed. The Saboteur in there. And, looks like a flamethrower on the other shoulder. Drone ship on the front lines, that's interesting. I imagine we'll see some turrets there. And a phase-shifted hexapod being used to crush and I guess soak shots. It's not really doing anything at this point. Nuclear missile looks like it just went off on top of that army, but there's still a bit of army left. Oh, I mistimed that comment. So the missile actually doing a decent amount of damage, and I don't think Haruspex nearly got what he wanted out of this. Those Venoms are going down, but there's still a full health, not full health, but very healthy Redeemer over here, and yeah, Haruspex did not quite get what he wanted out of that. Attacking into those turrets did not do what he wanted, and the Redeemer is going to get a chance to go to town on that Eradicator. Timed his... oh, nice response there, stassing the Redeemer. We also have the heal drones going down to save, I think, this tripod and hexapod. Hexapod still needs to get the heck out of dodge. Being pulled out, but needs to continue running it away. Let's see. These Raider buggies do have EMP coils, so they can be used to chain stun the hexapod. We do have, oh, a mechapede. You don't see those too often. Kind of neat to see those coming out. Redeemer taking down those defenses. You also don't see mines super often, so it's kind of neat that you get a chance to see them here. So nice use of kind of the broader army by Shocktrepet. Nice to see a broader selection of units used. Also, I do like what Haruspex is doing, getting a couple of Corruptors out for healing. I do like Corruptors, and I wish I saw them more. I don't think they're as good of an anti-infantry, anti-structure unit, because I don't see them used that way. I only ever see them used for healing. Still kind of neat to be able to see that poison healing. That is a mechanic, though, that took me a very, very long time to kind of get in my head. It's not very clear. It does not make a lot of sense, and it's not very clear, but it's ultimately kind of useful. Several mechapedes now. Haruspex, making an interesting choice going for multiple mechapedes. Another harvester about to go down with that greedy harvesting of the blue tib. Actually, a lot of Tiberium seated up here now. This is how I normally see mechapedes used. They're kind of a fast hit-and-run kind of harassment unit being taken out by this new giant army of Venoms. I do like seeing the Venoms used this way, although I will say it seems kind of, I don't know if cheap is the right word, but it must be very frustrating to deal with, because they can attack air and ground, and they do just a ton of damage. That tripod not in the best situation. It looks like that raid generator did not do as much as it wanted, And I do think that this is a much better use of the drone platform. It's further back, and it's able to use its build radius a little more. Venoms, again, being completely and totally annoying. Oh, we had a tripod stun. I forgot that when they get close to something, they can stun it. That Redeemer is in a lot of danger of going down. This PAC is enough, more than a match for those Venoms. Does stealth itself, I think, so Shocktrepet is able to pull it back out. Nice use of that teleportation. Actually, it's got some veterancy. Haruspex is going to have to be very careful to not lose this hexapod. It is a significant portion of his army, pulling it back, I think, with the mastermind to save it. You can see both players are now kind of forced to revert to a more mixed tier army. We have Seekers, we have Raider Buggies, Infantry for the nod, and of course the Venoms, which are not super expensive. We are at the point... Oh, is that artillery? Yes, it is. We have some Spectres out. That's another unit I don't see too terribly much of. So kind of neat to see that. And of course we have the synergy with the Venoms, assuming they get the... Maybe they just have the mirrors. There's an upgrade that allows the Spectre to... No, it's not the Spectre, it's the beam cannon. Wrong unit. Anyway, need to see the Spectre artillery being used. Let's just take a quick peek over here at Haruspex's base. Has gone down to only one gravity stabilizer, so he's trying to turn away from air, it looks like. I think we see the effects of a lot of stuff being sold off to fund a continued war effort. We're now down to some combat between these two heavily damaged tier 4 epic elite, whatever, super units. So far I have not seen the Rage Gen do too much. Oh no, there it is. It's now the Hexapod was very briefly attacking its allies. But very, very little right now for Haruspex. Is a very small army and is mostly using base defenses at this point. Looks like he's going to try to rely heavily on the Hexapod being healed up. Crushes the Spectre. That's kind of funny. And then I imagine it's going to teleport away very soon. There it goes. No, drone ship is way out of position. That seems more than aggressive in terms of actually... I don't know. I feel like that was a really bad decision, getting that drone ship way out front where it doesn't need to be, and just seems like a good opportunity to lose it. Just like this PAC that's, again, really out of position and being attacked by a handful of missile squads in the SAM site. That just seems like a waste of PAC. Rage Gen goes off again, but I don't see the units attacking each other. A phase to save the drone ship. I do really like that. Oh, missile goes down. Hexapod does manage to tank that, and actually I don't see that anything that was in that vicinity died. The phase managed to save them all. So these corruptors are phase 2. They can't do anything right now, but they did not explode when that missile went off. So nice response to that nuke going down. But wait, hold up. Overlord's Wrath again being used to seed additional Tiberium. Almost took out his own growth accelerator, but I guess it's worth it if the harvesters are right here. We have a little bit of regrown Tiberium, not much here. I feel like the growth rates for Tiberium, I don't know if they're different in 1.03, but it seems like it must be. Oh, Devastator out of position, being attacked by, I think, yeah, no, it's that SAM site. A waste of a Devastator for sure. Haruspex has a very expensive army, and getting it out of position like that is incredibly wasteful. That's another Spectre. Yes, no. Rage Gen going down again. The Eradicator was attacking the tripod, but I think he teleported it away to save his own units. Where did it go? Where's that hexapod? Oh, it was pulled very far back, actually. And there it is again, ready to be healed up. We're down basically at this point to the epic units. With both Haruspex and Shocktrepet relying almost entirely on those. I feel like there's some sort of mortar or artillery going off, but I don't... Oh, there it is. Very hard to see. Stasis being thrown down to save the Eradicator hexapod. Let's see if that works. I think if the hexapod goes down, that's just about going to be everything for Haruspex. He does not have a large army at all at this point. Devastator warship coming back out, but there's just the one, and they're not incredibly potent. The hexapod is yet again EMP'd. I don't think it's going to get out of there. The multiple EMPs from the Raider buggy. Oh, but he saves it at the last second. Saves it with the phase shift. Oh my gosh. And now the Redeemer is being focused down thanks to the stun from the Eradicator hexapod, and down the Redeemer goes, and yet here is the hexapod still alive. That is going to be very, very bad for Shocktrepet. I do not think he's going to be able to afford another one. The turrets are going down. It's down to infantry only at this point for Shocktrepet. I think this may be about it. Looks like there's 2 Devastators now. There's just enough army here. We have these anti-air defenses against the Venoms. The Spectre is a nice touch, but I don't know that it's going to turn this around. And there is the GG. Haruspex pulls out the win at long last. These players so evenly matched. So much back and forth. Very, very fun plays on both sides. That was a great match. It was a 30-minute slugfest. Both players kind of just saying no to their opponent numerous times. We had the EMPs on both sides. We had support powers being used to block nukes. Just everything you want to see out of a good match of Kane's Wrath. So, if you've put up with my casting for this long, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, I'm Wayward, and this has been Command & Conquer 3, Kane's Wrath. I'll catch you next time.